Ah, yes, what a grand old way to end a month of grotesque sexual degeneracy, eh? Nothing makes a liberal scream in agony quite like the smackings of a base black Supreme Court justice, eh? Our way, true to Clarence Thomas. Yes, the US Supreme Court has officially ended affirmative action, thank God for that, and the crying screams have been oh so very delicious. Seriously, go to Dankulas' Twitter, he's LARPing as the justice again, and man, if we ever need a case for why democracy is cringe and gay and wow, people are stupid, go look at the last 24 hours of his replies, it is hysterical. But anyway, I'll do another video on this topic, but I want to dedicate this one specifically to Michelle Obama. And yes, just by saying that name, I'm sure most of you already have some jokes in your head, and probably not the ones we can see on YouTube. And as you can probably guess, I'm not exactly a fan of Michelle Obama for obvious reasons, mainly because she's a bloody poster child for affirmative action, Melissa XX variety anyway. And so she of course went on the Twitter and voiced her displeasure at the decision, and I actually like what she had to say. Mainly because Michelle Obama is such a fucking moron that she rendered her entire statement past the first paragraph redundant, seeing as the opening one was a perfect summation of why one should never have affirmative action. Listen to this. Back in college, I was one of the few black students on my campus, and I was proud of getting into such a respected school. I knew I'd worked hard for it, pressing X the doubt on that one, but still, I sometimes wondered if people thought I got there because of affirmative action. You did, and it was a shadow that students like me couldn't shake, whether those doubts came from outside or inside our own minds. And the rest of the statement is a sappy, worthless pile of arse. Now, in case this wasn't already blindingly obvious from that statement over there, Michelle Obama suffers from a debilitating case of imposter syndrome, and with good reason. If you knew you were good enough, you wouldn't need to defend affirmative action. But she knows she wasn't good enough, and therefore she must sim forward, bow down, and kiss ring. Otherwise, she would be wrecked with guilt, kicking down the ladder for all the unworthy peasants that would follow in her footsteps. The fact of the matter is simply this. Michelle Obama is an intellectually unimpressive race grifter who will forever be haunted by the shadow of her husband because she's only known for being the first lady of a miserable former president who got elected because he's black and very little else, only to be followed by a man who he spied on, who even with one hand tied behind his back as he was fighting his own administration and with no political experience at that, still bested the man who Thomas Sowell said was the worst US president ever in all available metrics. I'd bet heavily it'd damn near be a treasure hunt trying to find anyone outside the media ecosphere that sings Michelle Obama's praises that gun to their head would be able to name even a single fact about her academic accolades. You know it, I know it, and anyone with a pair of eyes knows this. The Obamas are a divisive pair of grifters who must see everything through the prism of race, are a worthless pair of assholes who no one should ever pay any attention to. Hell, everyone knows if they were white, no one would ever listen to, care, or acknowledge anything they had to say about anything. And before the hordes of morons scream, "Oh, that's so racist!" Really? Is that so? You know, it's kind of unusual because you'll find a lot of people who get called a racist for disliking Obama will like, say, Thomas Sowell, or Walter Williams, or Glenn Loury, or Larry Elder, or Clarence Thomas, Coleman Hughes, or the Hodge twins, for example. You want to know why? Well, it turns out if you're a person of color and you happen to not make everything about being a person of color, well, people who are not of color just might find you interesting. Shocking, I know. And once again, I apologize for nothing.